On the evening of Thursday, October 12, 2023, the fashionable streets of Mayfair in central London bore witness to what appeared to be an ordinary scene. A well-dressed couple strolled arm-in-arm past luxury boutiques, their pace leisurely enough to draw attention. The man wore an impeccably tailored suit, his companion a silk dress that caught the light. On his wrist gleamed a gold Rolex timepiece. To any observer, they presented themselves as ideal targets, wealthy, vulnerable, distracted by each other's company. What the crowd surrounding them could not have known was that both individuals were undercover police officers, meticulously positioned as part of an elaborate sting operation designed to ensnare one of London's most elusive criminal networks. This single deployment represented the culmination of months of painstaking investigation, countless sleepless nights, and numerous unsuccessful leads. Moreover, this operation was far from isolated. Across the nation, from the neon-lit streets of Soho to the quiet affluence of Dorset, undercover officers were simultaneously preparing similar traps, each carefully calibrated to remove these criminals from Britain's streets once and for all. The question that emerged from these coordinated efforts was profound. How did these disparate incidents connect? Who orchestrated these precision-planned robberies? The answers that police would uncover exceeded even their most troubling predictions. This is the definitive account of the Rolex Rippers and the quiet undercover operation that would ultimately dismantle their criminal empire. The pattern emerged gradually, but the numbers told an undeniable story. By 2019, reports of high-value watch thefts were already climbing steadily across the United Kingdom. What followed, however, was a surge that commanded the full attention of British law enforcement. Over the subsequent 4 years, more than 9,000 luxury watches were stolen throughout the country, a figure that stunned even the most experienced detectives. Approximately 1 in 5 of these robberies involved some degree of violence. Victims were no longer merely being deceived or distracted. They were being systematically followed, threatened, and physically attacked. Luxury watches had evolved into the new street currency of organized crime. They possessed all the qualities criminals prized: small enough to conceal, valuable enough to rival gold, and traceable only when mistakes were made. Detectives described them as perfect contraband, portable, prestigious, and easily liquidated through discrete networks. A single Rolex or Patek Philippe could change hands half a dozen times within hours, passing through gray market dealers, pawn shops, and online resellers operating under fabricated identities. By 2022, this trend reached its apex. Police forces from London to Hampshire were logging fresh reports weekly. Moped chases, follow-home attacks, and brazen daylight robberies outside golf clubs and restaurants became disturbingly routine. Social media posts featuring luxury watches became virtual hunting grounds. Criminals monitored hashtags and geotags, scanning for wealthy individuals departing exclusive clubs or private gymnasiums. The most significant development, however, was not the volume of crimes but the methodology behind them. These were no longer opportunistic thieves acting on impulse. Investigators began uncovering structured networks, steal-to-order crews coordinated by handlers who provided specific brands, models, and even serial numbers they required. Offenders were dispatched with literal shopping lists: Submariners, Daytonas, Oyster Perpetuals, all targeted to satisfy pre-arranged buyers across Europe. By late 2023, the Metropolitan Police had quietly shifted their strategic approach, triggering a slow but measurable decline in reported offenses across the capital. London had become the epicenter of this crisis. Police intelligence mapped what investigators termed the robbery triangle: Westminster, Chelsea, Soho, and Knightsbridge. Between these neighborhoods lay some of Britain's wealthiest postcodes, where luxury was displayed openly and without apparent concern. This concentration was neither random nor accidental. It was patterned, predictable, and executed with professional precision. Between Thursday and Saturday nights, from 11 o'clock in the evening until approximately 4 o'clock in the morning, the same streets witnessed the same category of attack. Men departing exclusive bars, casinos, and restaurants found themselves targeted, unaware they had been under surveillance. The offenders rarely struck by chance. Police surveillance footage revealed their method with disturbing clarity. These operations involved small teams working in coordinated layers. At the foundation were spotters, individuals positioned outside the city's wealthiest venues. They were not thieves themselves, at least not directly. Their responsibility was to identify and mark targets. A tap on a mobile phone screen, a message transmitted through encrypted applications, and a photograph shared with the next team waiting nearby. The victims fit a consistent profile: men aged between 30 and 70, wearing designer watches as understated symbols of success. What had once represented achievement had transformed into a liability. Detectives later determined that the overwhelming majority of luxury watch robbery victims across London were male, most traveling alone or in small groups. Some were followed to their vehicles. Others were ambushed within minutes of leaving an establishment. Soho and Mayfair became notorious for distraction thefts, swift, fluid robberies executed beneath the cover of nightlife chaos. In Knightsbridge, the approach differed. Precision-planned ambushes, frequently involving mopeds, allowed thieves to strike, seize their target, and vanish through side streets before police could respond. For the gangs, London was not merely territory. It was theater, a stage where the world's most recognizable timepieces walked among them nightly. To those watching from the shadows, every tick of a Rolex represented another opportunity awaiting exploitation. Across England's affluent counties and prosperous town centers, detectives documented a consistent hug-and-grab pattern. Pairs of women, typically approaching older men, initiated contact with gentle distractions, a petition for a charitable cause, an affectionate embrace, a kiss on the cheek, or a request for directions. Within seconds, the watch clasp was released and the Rolex disappeared without trace. Police forces recorded nearly identical setups across Dorset, Hampshire, West Sussex, Surrey, Gloucestershire, and Cheshire, connecting incidents not through facial recognition, but through methodology, victim demographics, and timing. Victims repeatedly described identical choreography. In Wimborne, Dorset, 64-year-old Alan Bruce was approached by two women with a clipboard, posing as charity collectors. During a brief embrace and casual conversation about his cologne, his £14,000 Rolex Yachtmaster vanished. In Emsworth, West Sussex, 77-year-old Derek Freestone signed a petition inside his parked vehicle. One woman lunged to embrace him while her accomplice grasped his hand. His £12,500 gold Rolex disappeared before he closed his door. In the Cotswolds village of Bourton-on-the-Water, 84-year-old Michael Perry had a £15,000 Rolex removed by a woman masquerading as a charity worker outside a supermarket. At Ferndown Golf Club in Dorset, Robin Hawke was targeted for his £20,000 Rolex Daytona in a car park approach. In Camford Cliffs, Poole, 79-year-old Richard Gay lost an £8,000 Rolex after two women distracted him outside his residence. The faces varied, but the script remained unchanged. Investigators publicly linked this pattern to an organized network believed to comprise primarily Eastern European women operating in pairs with a getaway driver positioned nearby. Hampshire police alone examined more than 30 such incidents within their jurisdiction, while Dorset police confirmed several similar cases remained under investigation, clear indicators of how rapidly these crews moved across jurisdictional boundaries. The clearest evidential breakthrough came with the identification of Stefania Tanika, aged 40, the first convicted member connected to this female distraction pattern. Two linked incidents framed her prosecution. On January 3rd, at Mere Golf Club in Cheshire, Tanika and an accomplice attempted to steal a £10,000 Rolex Submariner from Simon Kelly. He managed to break free. DNA recovered from his wrist subsequently identified Tanika, though she could not immediately be located. 5 months later, on May 30th, on Bingham Avenue in Poole near Parkstone Golf Club, a 75-year-old man was stopped, embraced, and only afterward realized his £15,930 Submariner had been removed. Closed-circuit television from a nearby property placed Tanika at the scene. The watch was never recovered. She was arrested at Luton Airport several months later while attempting to depart the United Kingdom. She was ultimately recorded as the first member of this network to be convicted, a rare documented connection between methodology and identified offender. Nevertheless, most associated incidents remained unresolved. More than 30 nearly identical thefts and attempts across southern England continued to challenge investigators. Just as police believed they understood the pattern, a new category of crew emerged: faster, more brazen, and significantly more violent. In the final days of 2021, a six-person team launched a robbery spree that shocked detectives with its velocity, violence, and coordination. Operating between Chelsea and Balham, the group struck over an 18-day period from December 21, 2021 to January 9, 2022, using the same stolen BMW fitted with counterfeit license plates. The first day of their spree brought 3 violent robberies. At 11:15 in the morning on Old Church Street in Chelsea, a man was confronted by 2 crew members. His Tag Heuer watch, valued at approximately £1,500, was torn from his wrist. Less than an hour later in Balham, another victim was pursued and struck to the ground, his bag stolen, while a zombie knife was brandished to intimidate witnesses. That same evening outside a Chelsea public house, the group approached 2 men seated at an outdoor table, demanding their Patek Philippe and Breguet watches, each valued near £35,000. 18 days later, on January 9, 2022, they returned to Draycott Avenue in Chelsea. A couple were ambushed as they walked toward their vehicle. The woman's Rolex, worth £6,000, and her Bulgari ring were violently seized while her partner was repeatedly struck, suffering facial fractures before losing his £1,150 Tag Heuer. The final blow to this gang came minutes afterward. Victims had recorded partial details of the BMW's registration, triggering an immediate search. When armed response units cornered the vehicle in Balham, the suspects fled on foot, abandoning it with a damning trail of evidence: house keys, mobile telephones, bank cards, a jacket, and a large machete wedged beneath the seat. Forensic teams matched fingerprints and DNA, while a recovered telephone contained photographs of suspects posing with stolen watches. It represented one of the Metropolitan Police's most audacious operations ever staged, an undercover sting conducted in Mayfair's heart, where luxury and criminality had quietly intersected. On the evening of October 10, 2024, an apparently affluent couple walked hand-in-hand through Berkeley Square. Their presentation was elegant, composed, unmistakably wealthy. The gentleman wore a tailored navy suit and a watch that gleamed beneath street lights. The woman, in a silk dress, displayed a rose-gold Patek Philippe. Both were undercover officers. What transpired next unfolded within seconds. As the couple passed into Hayes Mews, 3 men emerged from shadows. One lunged forward, grasping the female officer's wrist and tearing away the replica timepiece. Before the thieves could vanish, a team of plainclothes backup officers closed in from every direction. Between October 2022 and October 2023, the Metropolitan Police's Covert Policing Command launched a comprehensive undercover initiative targeting organized watch robbery networks haunting the West End. Officers analyzed months of data, mapping every incident by time, brand, and postcode. The pattern was unmistakable. The majority of attacks occurred between 11 at night and 4 in the morning within a 1 square mile area covering Soho, Mayfair, South Kensington, and Chelsea. Over the operation's course, results proved remarkable: 31 arrests, 27 formal charges, and 21 convictions achieved to date. One by one, the ringleaders faced sentencing, each outcome reflecting the gravity of their participation in what had become one of the United Kingdom's most visible forms of organized street crime. Stefania Tanika received 40 months imprisonment at Chester Crown Court. In London's West End, substantial sentences followed at Southwark Crown Court. On the South Coast, members of the Chelsea Balham crew faced justice at Isleworth Crown Court with sentences ranging from 6 to 11 years. The firearm-linked spree resulted in a 10-year custodial term. The asylum-linked trio received sentences between 40 and 48 months. Beyond London, the heaviest penalties were imposed: 16 years, 15 years, and 10 years respectively at Norwich Crown Court for perpetrators of 100-mile pursuit robberies stretching from London to Norfolk and Worcestershire. These sentences represented not merely punishment, but a clear declaration that Britain's streets would no longer tolerate such predatory criminality, and that luxury would cease to be synonymous with vulnerability.